Today I'm not going far away. I'm right in the area where I live, where I know absolutely everything. I walk this road many times for various personal reasons. It's almost the center of the city. There is always a lot of traffic here, people rushing about their business. Everything suggests that my city, Nizhniy Novgorod, is living its normal life. Hello to everyone. Here is DJ and my channel Panacotta. I'm so sorry that I have disappeared for a long time. That was due to some personal reasons, and I hope that I will be more consistent in posting my videos in future. And today that will be an absolutely unusual video for myself. Again, something really special for me today. This is going to be an interview, so wish me good luck in a new role for myself. And I'm standing in front of a shopping center, in fact, and in this shopping center lots of things are located, and one of them is an Italian pizzeria. And what is so unusual and what is so special about this place in particular is because their owner and the chef of this pizzeria is an Italian. This Italian guy came to Russia quite a time ago. He has been living here for quite a time, and let's find out how it happened that he has chosen Russia as the place of his residence, what he likes about living in Russia, maybe what he dislikes. I think this will be interesting for you to know, and wish me good luck in this new experience. Let's find out what Paolo thinks about living in Russia, and if Russia has become his second home. Let's see.
Paolo?
Привет, Lidia.
Ciao Paolo.
Come va?
Come sta?
Bene.
Tutto bene?
Все хорошо, отлично.
Meet Paolo Savio, an Italian, originally from Torino, Italy. Has been living in Russia for more than 10 years, married, has a daughter. He received Russian citizenship 2 years ago, meaning he has a Russian passport. Let's find out his story today. Ciao Paolo. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to have this interview with you in this wonderful place in a pizzeria called Aromi. I think that my viewers, and probably yours too, will be interested in the new experience. And it will be useful and interesting for you too, because doing something for the first time is always cool. And my first question to you is probably the one that you have been asked exactly so many times, a million times. How did you end up in Russia, in Nizhniy Novgorod? Not in Moscow, even the capital of Russia, but in Nizhniy Novgorod. Thank you, Lydia, for coming. I'm very happy. I'll answer the first question now. The very first question is a very long conversation, in fact. It turned out like that because that is life. My first time in Russia was in the city of Samara. I didn't think that I would come to Russia either as a tourist or especially to live there. I was planning to go to Venezuela to watch a big waterfall called the Angel. Latin America, yes. But it didn't work out. I had an accident, got to a hospital, lost money and tickets to Venezuela. I got cured, came home and thought, well, Venezuela didn't work out. If you want to go somewhere, then it's better to go somewhere else. I took the globe and turned it around. And I got my finger in Russia. Well, statistics, it's a big country. Russia is a big country, and it was more likely to get your finger there. Yes, the biggest country in the world. Statistics is a great thing. Yeah, I picked up the center of Russia. I remember well. I got to the city of Samara with my finger. I didn't know Samara there at all. Nothing. Then I started to read, I watched. I remembered Taliati, where respectively Fiat worked. I decided to fly to Samara. I came to Samara first in the summer of 2009. They brought me to Russia through an organization. So that was year 2009, right?
Смотрел Волга, смотрел завод пива «Жигули».
Да.
Интересно. И вернулся домой. Вернулся домой.
Сразу наша.
To our viewers who will be watching, let's say that you are from the city of Torino, Piedmont region, in the north of Italy. Yes, in the northwest of Italy. When I arrived home, I thought that I liked Russia a lot. That was a new world for me. And I planned to come to Russia again. But I've never seen Russia in winter, when it's cold. I wanted to try Russian winter. So I came to Russia once more. I arrived in Nizhniy Novgorod in January 2010. I remember very well when I got off the plane, there was an iron staircase there, and it was minus 36 degrees. You were lucky. You got the right weather for that then.
Рядом вышится лес, жир.
Да.
Тут еще есть чуть-чуть.
It was another planet. Then I stayed at a hotel in the city. I remember there was Sovetskaya Square nearby where I lived. I traveled a little bit around Nizhniy Novgorod. At the same time there, by chance, I met a girl who later became and is now my wife. Natalia? Yes, Natalia, with a good Russian name, Natalia. I didn't speak Russian, she didn't speak Italian, no one from us both spoke any English. Well, but there is a language called love, and it helped us. Was that 2009? No, that was 2010 already. Yes, it turned out to be the next year after my first visit. So I told her my phone number, we called each other, she came to Italy in March, and in August that the same year we got married. Yes, and then we lived in Italy for 4 years after.
Я в Италии занимался.
I worked in Italy then, and at weekends I was engaged in the kitchen, as I really like to cook. We have different restaurants. Is this a family business? Yes, a kind of. Because as far as I know, there are still a lot of family businesses in Italy. If you were born in a family, you did something in it, then most likely your son or your daughter will do that in the future. Yes, in Italy it is still the same. Still, in this sense, Italians are very much traditional. Their lifestyle, and that's it. In fact, for example, the Gucci house and so on, it all started with a family business, right? Yes. And then I decided to come to Russia and try to live in Russia. Maybe I'm so curious, maybe I'm an adventurer, I don't know. I just decided to try. Well, it just happened like that. I was planning to stay in Russia for 6 months as a trial. And now I've been here for almost 11 years.
Собственно, про откуда ты родом ты как раз оттуда, из Турина, да? То есть
From your story, I'm asking a question that naturally comes from what you've told me. So the first time you came here, it was summer, am I right? Yes, it was still warm weather, not frosty. And it was Samara, that is the first city where you found yourself. This is the city on the Volga River. And now you remember, maybe in general, it was a long time ago, but nevertheless, do you perhaps remember your feelings, your emotions about your first contact with Russia in general, as with a country that you have never known or visited? How did you feel? I don't know, maybe surprise, annoyance, maybe you didn't like something very much. Well, I'm not talking about the climate right now, but just the general situation. And probably again the question is, have you ever imagined Russia before? And to what extent do your real impressions coincide with your assumptions about how you imagined Russia? What were your real impressions?
Совпадали от твоих предположений, от того, как
Well, everything was new and interesting for me.
Интересно.
That was a different world there. But I'm a very curious person. I've been always very interested in life.
Барьера переезда.
The biggest barrier was language, of course. Well, I think people can understand each other even through their eyes, even in terms of behavior. Russians, as I saw Russian people were very, very open. Although I know that Russians don't smile at first. Yes. By the way, that is that moment when Russians don't smile. It's the Italians who always smile at you for the first time they meet you. That is, they are people with smiles, right?
первый раз.
What do you think of that phenomenon as an Italian?
Как тебе вообще, как итальянец?
Well, the first time it's very strange. You are looking at him and he's looking at you like that, right?
Ну, вот ты встречаешь,
Well,
а
he's
он
looking
тебе
at me, maybe I'm a bit weird, right? An Italian who gets to Samara or Nizhniy Novgorod is not an ordinary person. You should understand that. People look at you, open their eyes wide. Are you seriously an Italian? Yes, there were also such questions. Let me touch you. Are you real? Are you real Italian?
Когда понимают и начинает встретиться человек,
When they understand and start meeting you, Russians open up. I think even more than Italians. I'm dead serious now. Because Italians are very good at smiling and joking, but that's on the surface. They don't open up until the end. We all talk a lot in Russia about Russians' soul. That's very important for us, Russians. The soul is something that no one has ever seen, or no one knows what it looks like, but we really feel it. Here it just exists, that soul, or it doesn't exist. It's impossible to draw it, make it to order. It's impossible to feel it for money. That is, it's something when a person wants to give you something, to share. Well, that's my question, because you interacted with Russian people a lot, and even the language, or rather the lack of the language, didn't stop you from somehow understanding people. People probably contacted you, didn't turn away from you, even if they didn't understand. They tried to guide you somehow. And with all this, do you have a feeling that Russians and Italians have something in common, something that you directly recognize as something native for yourself? In my opinion, there are many similarities. Russians are very fond of and know how to celebrate. Yes, holidays. That's true. Something like dolce vita, maybe, right? Dolce far niente. Yes, something like that. Family is of great importance to Russians too. Yes. In a village, in a small town, family is everything, you know? You feel that atmosphere of nepotism. That is such traditional ways that Italians and Russians share. There is something that Italians could learn from Russians and vice versa. So could the Russians learn something from the Italians? Well, what can I say? Of course, that Russians can eat pizza without cappuccino, because that's weird. It's very strange. This is a joke, of course. No, I'm not talking about food, just about some general things, about work, maybe punctuality. Well, let's say Italians are not very punctual either. Yeah, that's for sure. Russians will wait until the last minute to do something and then quickly do everything. We Italians will need to plan more.
Скажи, пожалуйста,
That's what you said about family. About family and the fact that in Russia, yes, as with Italians, family is very important, as something that people can always rely on. That is, a person always knows that he or she is not alone. I have a family, I have relatives, some kind of commune. Yes, roughly speaking, some kind of community that I can count on, right?
семья Натальи,
So, Natalia's family, how did they receive you?
иностранец.
You're a foreigner. How did they treat you? Well, I don't remember that time, to be honest. What I remember well is that Natalia's father immediately accepted me. Yes, I understand. Natalia's mother, Valentina, was a little bit more worried and was more concerned about me. Of course, she's a mom. I can't say anything bad. I was very well received in Russia, you know.
Ну что он здесь делает, вообще не надо, ты, пожалуйста, дочка, ты подумай вообще. Нет, то есть все, они тебя приняли абсолютно нормально.
Did they feed you?
Кормили?
Of course, and a lot.
Как тебе?
So, how do you like Russian cuisine in general compared to what you are used to eating at home? Well, Russian cuisine, yes, that's a big question. At first, I didn't understand Russian cuisine at all. I didn't understand what is it, Russian cuisine. At first, there were a lot of soups in Russia, too many soups. In Italy, they don't eat so many soups at all. Apart from Russia, there are probably no such thing anywhere. Yes, then I started to understand the cuisine, to understand the taste, because the tastes are so much different with Italian cuisine. I want Russian cuisine at home right now. Russian soups, pelmeni. Okay, let's put the soups aside now. There are too many of them. Herring under fur coat, borscht. I really like borscht. Then I really like salted, small, smoked fish, you know. I really like it. It tastes very interesting to me.
А как он называется?
But there is one dish for me. Холодец? No, by the way, we have холодец in Italy. I cook it myself. Seriously? How do you call it? Cane gelatino. So there is one dish in Russia. It's голубцы. So there was a story. Natalia wanted to make a traditional Russian dish. So she made a traditional dish, and I saw it's a traditional Italian dish. We call it kavolinki. So it turned out that she made a traditional Russian dish with the name of голубцы, that garbage.
Ну и теперь, наверное,
So, well, now we are talking about food, about Russian cuisine. I probably know everything about Russian cuisine, or at least it seems to me that I know. Now let's talk about how you came up with the idea to start feeding people in Russia. And you naturally chose the traditional Italian cuisine for that. You brought a piece of Italy here. How did you come up with that idea in the first place? So you said, Natalia, let's open a place where classic Italian dishes will be prepared. And here is a side question. How does your wonderful pizzeria Aromi differ from other places here in Nizhniy Novgorod that serve Italian cuisine?
Твое прекрасное заведение, пиццерии Ароми, отличается от других итальянских, то есть других мест, где подается итальянская кухня.
In fact, feeding people has been my lifelong dream. I have wanted to do this for a long time. I wanted to open something like a cafe or a pizzeria back in Italy. I've been involved in winemaking for 20 years, so then I wasn't feeding people, I was giving them wine. I've always loved cooking. I've been told that I'm good at it. I got compliments for that. So when we arrived to Russia, we immediately thought that we would open a pizzeria here. At first, we lived in the south of Russia, in Gelendzhik. An Italian friend of mine also decided to open a pizzeria in Moscow. They opened it, it turned out to be very good, but then the pandemic came, and eventually we had to close this cafe because of COVID. And I did not really like Moscow. It was too big and too noisy for me, so we decided to return to Nizhniy Novgorod. We arrived, looked around a bit, and realized that there are no real Italian cafes here. So there is a name, but there is no real Italian cuisine in it, where there are no traditional Italian recipes. We found a place, started getting our first visitors, and that's how it all started.
Искали место, много времени. Это первое маленькое место, что можно заниматься, ну, хорошо, смотреть каждый гости и готовить традиционный итальянский кухню. Я думаю,
I think Russians are very fond of traditional Italian cuisine, just in general, and they feel that it's real Italian food. Because there are many places where there is a name of Italian cuisine, but in fact it is just international cuisine, not Italian. If the recipe is lost, the taste of the food will be lost. We use only traditional recipes from Italy here. For example, we have one dish whose recipe is almost 400 years old. Not all the products that we use in cooking are imported from Italy, although many of the things that we do here bring from there and are used in cooking. But our recipes are 100% Italian.
все продукты из Италии, но есть продукты, которые мы берем из Италии. И держим
I was lucky Paolo was so kind to me that he allowed me to enter the holy of holiest, the kitchen. As in Italy, the kitchen here is mostly open, meaning that, in fact, visitors of the pizzeria can see how their order is being prepared. Paolo said that he would really like to have a real oven, but unfortunately, according to the building's safety regulations, it is prohibited here. I can say for sure that the smell here is the same as if a real oven was operating. Everything here is done based on the ideas of traditional Italian cuisine.
E abbassare la luce per fare pace alla felicità. Felicità.
Felicità, e un bicchiere di vino con un panino, la felicità, e lasciarti un biglietto dentro al cassetto, la felicità, e cantare a due voci quanto mi piace la felicità, felicità. Senti nell'aria c'è già la nostra canzone d'amore che va, come un pensiero che sa di felicità. Senti nell'aria c'è già un raggio di sole più caldo che va, come un sorriso che sa di felicità.
Felicità. E una sera a sorpresa, la luna accesa e la radio che va. E un biglietto d'auguri pieno di cuori, la felicità. E una telefonata non aspettata, la felicità. Felicità.
The coffee machine was imported from Italy, and the coffee itself comes from there too.
Questa mattina mi sono alzato ed ho trovato l'invasor. Oh partigiano, portami via. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 bel partigiano, portami via.
It seems to me that you can watch the cooking process endlessly. The main thing is not to be hungry at the moment. it is clear that Paolo treats his work with real trepidation. He told me with such an excitement and love how and what is being cooked. His eyes are shining. I think it's a great happiness when a person does exactly what he really likes and what he knows and loves.
E le genti che passeranno, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E le genti che passeranno mi diranno che bel fior. E questo è il fiore del partigiano. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E questo è il fiore del partigiano.
I have been living in this area for over 10 years. Literally here, that is my neighborhood. I have known the shopping center Coop since the time when it was not yet a shopping center, but it was the Nizhniy Novgorod champagne factory. Anyway, I found out about Aromi completely by accident. Having lived here for over 10 years, can you imagine? I found out from my former colleague who told me. To be honest, I ran here very quickly to see and try it for myself. You probably know that Russians are very curious people. If they find out that there is a real Italian here cooking and feeding people, it will be very interesting for them to see. Because I don't like fast food, for example, even Italian fast food, supposedly Italian, yeah? But if this is a story from a real person who surely knows how it should look and how it should taste, then of course it's a different story. And in this regard, I have a question. When people find out that you are an Italian, that you live here, cook here, do they want to get to know you, make friends? Do Russians have any special attitude towards foreigners?
Итальянец, он готовит здесь, помогает, как бы контролирует весь процесс. Русские вообще любопытные вот иностранцам, как вообще, ну вот как вот твой опыт, что русские в этом смысле к иностранцам по-особенному как-то относятся, дышат.
Of course, Russians are very surprised when they find out that I'm from Italy, that I'm an Italian who lives and works in Russia. They always ask a lot of questions. There are people we are friends with, and 50% of the visitors here are the people I know by name. I'm always interested in what they like or dislike, what a person does for his living, and then I notice that people come back here over and over again. Apparently, they like what I do. And people who come back usually really know what the original Italian cuisine is, what its real taste is. We're trying to maintain a stable cooking quality for people to come back to us again.
Люди, которые продолжают приехать, это люди, которые знают итальянскую кухню, сами знают уже эти вкусы, понимают этот вкус. Кто приедет, понимает, что у нас есть качественная кухня, мы тут стараем, что все качественно готовим, как надо.
Люди возвращались, чтобы люди возвращались. А ты знаешь, что
You know, I have a very special relationship with Italy. For me personally, this is a very special country. I have a special attitude towards it. If you are going on a vacation there, for me, there are all the components for relaxation. I like everything beautiful, and there is a lot of history there too, which is very important to me. And one thing too, that it should be tasty for me. The atmosphere there is stress-free. It's enjoyable without any special rules, stress. It is all very easy. Italy is an ideal country for me in this sense. And my channel that I created on YouTube less than 1 year ago is called Panna Cotta. Of all the desserts that I love, my favorite one is Panna Cotta. This is the best dessert for me. Not greasy, not light, very sweet, not very sweet. And by the way, I tried panna cotta here in your cafe, which is as close as possible to what I ate in Italy. I probably took it there in Italy 5 times in different cities.
очень правда напоминает, что я то, что пробовала в Италии. Наверное, я и в связи с этим
And in this regard, I have a question for you. When we bring together Russians and Italians, you have lived here for a long time, interacted with them a lot, interacted with the most important thing here, with families. Because you feed them, and when people eat and they like what they eat, they open up even more. After all the years of living here, can you say that Russia has become your second home? The place where you really feel good, comfortable, and you can say that you are at home here.
хорошо, комфортно, и ты можешь сказать, что для тебя это второй дом.
Well, I think home is the place where family and people are closer to you. Now I think this is my first home. Italy was my home because it's where I come from, where I was born. But now I think that my home is Russia.
Это второй дом, конечно, потому что я жил почти 40 лет, растил там.
Are you happy here? Yes, I'm very happy here. Then the question is about, okay, how could you get used to our weather, to our climate? We live here in the Volga region, and there are a lot of great days, little sun and winter. It's hard to survive during that winter time. Even for us locals, it's hard. How do you handle it?
И вот эта вся серость, серое небо. Как ты, как итальянец, с этим всем справляешься? Поделись.
I think people can adapt. Yes, people get used to everything. Winter is long and it's hard, yes, I know, but I think it's possible to live. I thought, if Russians live here in this climate, why can't I do that? Italy, of course, has a very beautiful landscape and a comfortable climate, but I live here in Russia, and I like everything about it.
Ну и вот, наверное, ты любишь человека, ты любишь его таким, как ты.
To conclude our sincere, wonderful interview, I can say that it's great that you bring something of your own, because it's very good when two cultures interact and they become richer. It's much better than fighting and splitting up, right? It is better to give each other more, unite and be together, like two hands when shaking hands. Because everyone will benefit from it in the long run. It's better to be together than to separate. People Perhaps you have the desire to say something special regarding what we've discussed here today. Some thoughts of yours.
Мы с тобой обсуждали.
First of all, what I would like to say, I'm very happy with life in Russia. It's true and completely sincere. You need to be curious, be interested in everything that is different from what you know and see. By the way, Russians are very interested in everything. If you are really interested, then will be more mutual understanding between different people. And third, we need to trust each other. Trust is very important.
Можешь ты сказать, что Россия это страна?
Can you say that for you, Russia is the land of opportunities? Yes. For me, of course, it is. For me, Russia is a land of opportunities. I can say that.
Людям, которые, может быть,
What would you say to the people who might want to come to Russia? Don't be afraid.
кто-то
Come to Russia and see everything with your own eyes. Learning new things is the best thing we can have. Come and see for yourself.
пиццерию Ароме, приезжайте.
Welcome
с
to
семьями.
Pizzeria Aromi.
Заказывайте,
Come here with your
кто не может
families.
приехать онлайн.
They are always waiting for you here and will feed you with the most delicious food. You know, I feel absolutely happy and really free after our meeting with Paola. It's a great happiness that people share something that has developed over the centuries in their culture, their value systems, exchange it, and thus it makes our life brighter, more diverse, and us really kinder. Being interested in others, learning from others, and trusting each other is the highest value for people. Creating bridges of trust and exchange is always about future and about what will make us and our children happier. Let's share everything we know and know how to do it with love. Let's concentrate on similarities rather than on differences between us. Eat, pray, and love. As Italians say, le due cose più importanti nella vita sono l'amore e la felicità. The two most important things in life are love and happiness. Ciao ragazzi! See you in the next video. Don't forget to like my video. Be happy. Yours, Lydia.
Sole più caldo che va